What's up, my dudes? My name is Sister Turley, and this is a track review of 2016 Anaheim 1. And no, this is not the RF track that I got early or something crazy like that, so chill out in the comments, bro. I can already hear you now going, oh, where's the download link, man? I need the download link. This is not the actual RF track, I promise, okay? So what this is it's just a simple custom track that somebody went in there and made and just tried to replicate the 2016 Anaheim 1 strictly off of a track map. And yeah, so it's just simply a custom track. It's not the RF Pro track or anything like that. So I know it's very easy to get confused because it looks really close to what I think the 2016 actual RF track is going to look like. So it's definitely easy to get confused about it, but I promise this is not the actual Pro track here. This is just a simple track that some dude made to try to kind of replicate it and make his own version of it. So but he made it as close as he could with all of the actual layout of the track and the different jump sections and stuff like that. So all that is like incredibly accurate on this track. So it's pretty cool, man. He used a stadium and like the decals and the tough blocks and all that from a 2015 track. So it kind of has that RF vibe to it, you know. So it's easy to get confused and think it is the actual RF track, but don't get confused about it, man. That's not what this track is at all. So I'm actually thinking the 2016, the actual RF Pro track, is going to be a little bit different than this one on how the jumps are made, just because I've kind of seen the evolution of how the 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, if any of you guys know how the tracks kind of evolve over the years, then this track right here to me almost like goes backwards. If you can understand what I'm saying here, like this track almost feels more like a 2014 track to me as far as like the whoops and some of the jumps and stuff, whereas like a 2016 track is probably going to feel like even more or less like a 2014 track and a 2015 track. Like it's going to continue that evolution. I could be completely wrong. It could go backwards in a sense, kind of, sort of, but I think it's going to get smoother and the jumps are going to get bigger and gnarlier. Like that's kind of how they do over the years. So I'm not really sure, but they could kind of take a step back with the 2016 RF tracks. I'm not, like I said, I'm not exactly sure. I have nothing to base it off of because we have no 2016 tracks yet, but this is pretty accurate though. I mean, as far as all the rhythm sections and the layout of it and everything, that's all perfect. I mean, you couldn't get it any better, but I feel like some of the jumps are a little different than how the actual RF track's going to be, and that's expected. This is just some random dude that made this. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like, it's pretty amazing how he did all this. So I feel like this little tabletop on-off, two tabletops on-off sections right there, they're a little smaller, I feel like, than they would be, but it's still fun, though, at the same time. Like, I don't know how to explain it, really, but this track right here is pretty simple. There's a couple, like, there's two sections where you can kind of quad in if you're on a 450, but other than that, it's all pretty simple. And these whoops feel a lot like the 2014, I think it was like Anaheim 2 or something like that. If you guys remember that, those whoops were gnarly, bro. They were pretty crazy. Like, I don't know, the whoops over the years they've kind of done a few different things where I don't really know. The 2015 whoops, a lot of those are like smoother, farther apart, bigger, and then the 2014, a lot of those were smoother and further apart and bigger and stuff. But on the 2014 Anaheim 2, if any of you guys remember, that had two crazy whoop sections that were really big whoops that were close together, so you really had to be patient with them and take your time, and that's kind of how these whoops are right here. So let me play this back in some third person, look at some different stuff. So yeah, with the gates right here, he's got it kind of gates behind gates, you know what I'm saying, kind of like a arena cross or something. And I think the actual Pro track and the RF track, it's going to be just like there's going to be more room there. I'm not really sure what the deal was with that, like why he couldn't make it work right there. I'm not really sure, but I don't really think a Pro track would have gates behind gates. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's possible. I don't know. That would be crazy. That would be kind of an unfair start there, but either way, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think the actual gates will just be like 10 on each side or 11 or whatever if they have 22 gates instead of it being like gates behind gates. I think he might have just ran into a little problem with his layout or something. That's why he had to kind of do it like that, because it would come into this other side of the track over here. So I'm not really sure what happened there with that, but when you make custom tracks, man, sometimes you got to just make do with what's going down, because some things might not work how other things are supposed to work, and then it messes this up, and then that can't work out how you thought it was going to work out. So especially when you're making a replica track, things can go down the wrong tunnel real quick, bro. When you're making custom tracks, like like replica tracks, because you're trying to make it so close, and then if one thing doesn't turn out how you thought it was going to turn out, then it jacks up like the whole track. So that's probably what happened to him, but either way, still looks pretty cool. So this track right here is definitely a fun one, and it's probably some good practice for the 2016 Anaheim 1, man, the actual RF track. So but I think he got it pretty close, though, like the jumps and stuff. That's a fun quad right there, and I don't know, they're a little they're a little hard to explain. I feel like these jumps are a little, like the rhythm sections are a little bit different than how they're actually going to be in 2016, but it's a fun track though, man, for sure, and you're getting a good feeling of the layout riding on it too. So these wheels right here, man, you can get going however fast you want to go, so they're pretty gnarly, man. But okay, so I'm going to give this track a 9 overall, and I'm going to say the difficulty is medium. So anyways, I appreciate all you watching these videos, and I'll keep on making them. Peace.